Scene 50. FSB Commander Toropov chases Boomer, Hunter, and Trip at 0:45 local, St. Petersburg time. Toropov runs every traffic light on his race to the hotel. The remaining members of Alpha are 2 blocks away from the hotel when Toropov speeds past them. Hunter IDs the driver as one of the men who tried to shoot them 30 hours before. Toropov sees the car, but a vehicle with only men does not register. In the dim light, the red color is not distinguishable. 300 yards later, Commander Toropov stops. Hunter watches the car in his mirror as it speeds away from them, but it slows and turns around. Hunter speaks into his cell phone.
Sandy.
Yeah, Hunter.
We have a problem. You guys ready to go?
Aye, just waiting for you.
Then go now.
Pardon me?
Tell Major Chu to rev those jet engines and get out of there now.
Sandy hears sirens through the phones and faintly in the dark.
We are not leaving without you, Hunter. I don't care what.
We'll be there in 2 minutes. We're being pursued and flying in your direction at twice the speed limit. Start the plane, leave the ramps down.
Sandy screams.
Start taxiing now.
What?
Go, now. That is an order.
He runs to the cockpit.
Lower all your ramps. Now!
Chu looks at him as he has gone crazy.
Lower them and take off now. Hunter is bringing some uninvited guests.
Chu gets it. She hands O'Sullivan a headset.
Go to the back and give me a visual on the ramp. I will put them almost all the way down, but you need to tell me when they are 6 inches from the ground.
Toropov is 200 yards behind Boomer, gaining ground. He calls the Polizia dispatcher.
Turovsky, this is Commander Toropov. I'm in pursuit of the red Lada Riva, driving east on Tal, turning south on Tvatska Lista, paralleling the runway of Pulkova to airport, bringing all available units now.
C-17 starts to move forward. The Lada Riva is 15 seconds and 1/4 mile from the hole in the fence and 3/4 of a mile from the C-17. 2 police units in front of them form a blockade with their cars, 100 yards before their entrance. A policeman exits each of the cars and fires at the approaching Lada. Boomer backs off the gas.
Floor it. Boomer, the C-17 is moving. No time to go around.
The policeman dives to the shoulder. The Lada Riva crashes full bore with the front engine compartments of both blockading police cars. The Lada breaks through, but the front is smashed and the radiator is steaming.
I hope Semenko has collision insurance. 2 cars in 2 days? She'll never rent a car in this town again.
Scene 51. Alpha is chased on the tarmac by the police and FSB. They bust through the security fence hole, which is just big enough to allow them to scrape through. The Lada pulls down a 60-foot segment of chain link, dragging it behind.
When we get home, Semenko might want to cancel her credit card.
Now on the runway, 6 cars surround them to the rear and sides. 1 car almost catches them from the rear, but Boomer is drifting right and left, and the trailing metal fence makes a wide sweep behind. A police car takes a chance to come in closer. When its tire hits the fence, the bumper from the Lada breaks off, and it's pulled right into the windshield of the trailing car. With the chain link out of the way, Commander Toropov takes that opportunity to move in from the rear. The C-17 is taxiing at 40 miles per hour. The ramps are slightly elevated but still occasionally scrape the runway. The throw-off sparks help Boomer zero in on his target in this pitch-black parking zone. Boomer must time this extremely precise boarding maneuver to be accomplished at 60 miles per hour. Scene 52. The airport tower orders Chu to stop taxiing.
Flight 877, acknowledge.
877 here.
You are not authorized to use the runway at this time. Your flight plan specifies an 0200 departure. You are not on the runway. Another aircraft is on approach from your right. Shut down immediately and wait for assistance.
That could be a little problemo because if I stop right now, my co-pilot and I become fixtures on the grill of a... Hold on a minute. Sergeant O'Sullivan, what kind of car is Boomer driving?
O'Sullivan raises the cargo tilts, normally used to keep cargo from shifting in flight. They run the long way in the floor of the cargo area. They will help the Lada Riva stay centered on the floor of the plane by providing a guide on the outside of each tire. If Boomer fails to enter the center of the plane, the tracks would work against them. Sandy gathers as many of the heavy cargo straps as he can, latches them to the rigged hooks in both sides of the plane, securing the straps 16 inches off the ground to catch the front grille. Sandy is holding on to the frame of the airplane 30 feet from the rear to monitor the position of the Lada.
I think they call it a Lada, Major. A Lada Riva. Drop the ramps, now!
Lieutenant Pearson pushes the button to release the hydraulic pressure, holding the ramp 6 inches above the runway.
Yeah, it's a lot, and if I stop right now, you just might be able to see the car for yourself as it exits my plane via the cockpit, and I would just be an insect on the... Oops.
A bullet hits the airplane skin just above Chu's window.
And there are other issues too. We will be taking off in about 20 seconds, so gotta go. Toodles.
Scene 53. The Lada enters the C-17. O'Sullivan puts Semenko in a web seat and her son next to her, hugging the side of the plane, yelling at her to be heard over the engine, the scraping ramps, the warbling police sirens, and gunfire.
Hold on to him as if his life depends on it, because it does.
When Boomer sees the constant stream of sparks flying as he hits the ramps at 60 miles per hour, the car lurches forward into the C-17 with Semenko, Dmitri, the pilots, and O'Sullivan directly in the path of the car going 60 miles per hour with an impossible 60 feet of stopping distance. When the front of the car reaches the top of the ramp, Boomer slams both brakes. The car sways but stays between the tilt-ups and the floor. O'Sullivan is in the car's path. He races the Lada to the front of the compartment and leaps right. The Lada is snapping straps. Boomer lays on the brake. Sandy has no time to buckle himself in. The brakes do all they can, but still the car breaks all the straps before it turns slightly to the left when it tilts the end, 20 feet from the front of the bay. Passenger side rearview mirror brushes O'Sullivan's butt at 35 miles per hour. It breaks through the latrine wall on the loadmaster station at the front of the cargo bay, but there it stops. The car pushes the head through the rear wall of the cockpit. Chu and Pearson have a toilet between them.
Good timing. I get first dibs on that, and I will take that as my cue to secure the ramps.
Another police car attempts to follow the Lada up the ramp 15 seconds behind Boomer, but when its front wheels are on the ramp, they start to go up, to close, lifting the car upright. Chu opens the throttle to full. Semenko loses hold of little Dmitri after the Lada passes within 18 inches of them, and the little guy slips under the web seat belt designed to hold an adult body. Dmitri takes a bumpy and fast ride, gliding on his back and backwards on the roller bearings in the floor in the direction of the slowly closing ramps. Boomer is the first one out of the car. He runs to catch Dmitri before he launches out the rear.
Major, tap the brake. Hard.
Are you out of your mind?
Tap it now, or Dmitri is lost. Now!
Major Chu doesn't understand the reference to Dmitri, so she guesses O'Sullivan might be doing some kind of calculation to avoid colliding with the commercial jet that she can see approaching 1 mile away to her right, intending to land on a runway that will cross their path. Everyone lurches forward to the front of the plane when the brake is applied, including Boomer and Dmitri, who is halfway up the ramp, 2 seconds from either launching out the rear or being crushed by a car trying to enter the plane, or when the ramp's fully closed. The police car on the ramp flips backwards on its top. Dmitri sails 10 feet towards the front of the plane, landing hard on cold steel floor.
My baby!
Boomer is the first to get to Dmitri.
Are you okay?
Dmitri is unconscious. Boomer carries him to his mother.
He is breathing and his pulse is steady. No bleeding except this cut on his head. He'll be fine.
Boomer rebuilds Dmitri in the web seat next to his mother. The T-17 lifts off the runway. Everything except the Lada shifts forward when the brake was applied. From her right, Chu is intently monitoring a major airliner preparing to land on a perpendicular runway. Chu and Pearson pull back as hard as they can. The 747 hits the ground just in time to go under the C-17, but its tail catches the right landing gear and rips the C-17's right tire off.
Buckle up at the front of the plane in case the car dislodges.